Hey everybody, it's Anna and welcome back to my booktube channel. This is going to be my Geekly Wrap-Up for the week of February 24th through March 1st. No board games this week because I was busy and we were traveling over the weekend, but this week I did manage to read 4 graphic novels and 2 books. So we'll go ahead and do the graphic novels first. I've been continuing with the Hilda series, which is a graphic novel about a young girl named Hilda with blue hair, and she lives in a place where there's a lot of magical creatures, kind of inspired by Scandinavian folklore and myth. So I read the first book, Hilda and the Troll, because I finally got it from the library. And then I read Hilda and the Black Hound, which was just as adorable as it sounds, kind of having a serious large black hound scaring all of the people in the city of Trollberg, and only Hilda is the one that is able to figure out how to save the day, so I really loved that. Then I read a graphic novel adaptation of the play Macbeth, and it's called Toil and Trouble. The book is by Margaret Scott, and the illustrators are Kelly and Nicole Matthews. I really enjoyed this book. I ended up giving it 5 out of 5 stars because I think it was one of the best graphic novels, but also one of the best Shakespeare adaptations I've ever read. And basically it reimagines the story of Macbeth as this conflict between the 3 witches who are sisters and who represent different deities from different religions and mythological traditions that existed in Scotland and in that area before Christianity came to the islands. So this book was absolutely stunning. The artwork inside of it was just gorgeous. I really love the way that the magic system was illustrated. There are these sort of discs that the spellcasters hold up to things, and you can kind of see exactly how the magical elements of the play Macbeth get translated visually. So I really enjoyed that. Would highly recommend it to anyone interested in graphic novels, Shakespeare retellings, or badass ladies in comics. And then the last of the graphic novels that I read was The Problem of Susan and Other Stories, which is an adaptation of 2 poems and 2 short stories by Neil Gaiman. It's adapted by P. Craig Russell, and we have art, color, and lettering by Scott Hampton, Paul Chadwick, and Lovern Kinderski. And this is another sort of installment in the me thinking that I like Neil Gaiman better in graphic form than I actually do in prose. I really enjoyed reading his Stardust, which was illustrated by Charles Vess last summer. That was really fun. But this is basically just a bunch of his different short stories. I think that The Problem of Susan, which is about Susan, the one kid in the Narnia Chronicles that gets left out of her happily ever after, basically for being too girly, because C.S. Lewis had some issues with thinking that only masculine women were very good and the ones that basically rejected all femininity, whereas feminine women were very much just seen as evil temptresses in his worldview. So this engages with the character of Susan and the relationship that children's literature has with its readers throughout the course of their lives. And then there were a couple of other little bits and bobs there as well, so I enjoyed that. And then let's see. Okay, so I read 2 books. The first of those that I finished was Wolf Speaker by Tamora Pierce. This is a reread for me. Basically, I have been rereading her Immortals series before I go to bed every night because I want to read something relaxing that I've already enjoyed before, because I want to get ready to start reading the Numenor Chronicles. So this is a second book in a series, but since it's been a while since I talked about the first one, and also these books are 25 plus years old at this point, hopefully you're not too worried about spoilers. This is about a young girl named Dane who has wild magic, which basically allows her to speak with animals and change her shape, and she can communicate with them on a level that other mortals can't. And then in this book, she has befriended this pack of wolves whose habitat is being destroyed by people that are also plotting to overthrow the kingdom that Dane lives in. So she kind of works together with these wolves to thwart both their political strategies and their deforestation and destruction of the environment. I really love these books. They were favorites when I was a kid. I enjoy rereading them now. I'm almost finished with the 3rd book in the series as I'm telling you about this second one, but it's just such a treasure to return to books that you really enjoyed. It's like coming home to a familiar, wonderful place. Then the last book that I finished this week was also my last book for Blackathon, and that was Who Fears Death by Nnedi Okorafor. And this is a book that took me a really long time to get through, mostly because there is a lot of one of the main themes of the book is people surviving rape, sexual assault, and genital mutilation, and that's also kind of delineated on the page to some extent throughout the book, and it just doesn't let up. So that's something that made it really difficult for me to get through this book. It was amazingly written, though. I don't think that this wasn't Nnedi Okorafor's first novel, but it was definitely her breakout book, I believe. And I don't think that I liked it as much as I necessarily like her Binti series and her Akata Witch series, but I do really enjoy getting to see what her world building was like and what her characters were like at the beginning of her career, since I hadn't really read anything from the beginning before Blackathon. I did end up giving this book 4 out of 5 stars, but this leads me to my next thing, which is kind of related to this and kind of just related to where my reading has been at more recently, is that for all of March, I am not allowing myself to read any books that have rape or sexual assault on the page or as major themes of the book. That happened a lot to me this month. Partially, sometimes I knew that was going to be a major theme of the book, and sometimes I didn't, and I just feel really exhausted by it because every book that I read in February that wasn't specifically written for children had like rape and sexual assault and dealing with the fallout of that as a major part of the plot. And as somebody who has lived through that myself, I was also just kind of like, I need a break from this. I need to take a step back from having this subject matter in the books for my own mental health and well-being and sanity and all that good stuff. So you won't be getting any of that from me for March, but that is going to do it for this week's Geekly Wrap-Up. I really want to give a huge shout out to Jessie and everybody else that was involved with creating and running the Blackathon. This was such a great readathon experience to have last for an entire month. Y'all's momentum and enthusiasm for this never let up, not even like till the very end. I was like watching everybody who was live tweeting the Black Panther watch along, and I just wanted to say a big thank you for creating something that the whole entire booktube community can get behind and enjoy, but that specifically like uplifts and amplifies Black voices and Black creators. So thanks for doing that. I was honored to participate, and thank you all so much for watching. If you like what you see here and you'd like to see more of what I do, go ahead and subscribe to my channel because that is the best way to get updated every time I post a new video. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.